The battlefield was silent for only a moment, and then the storm of war returned. The sky was dark with smoke. The ground was broken, filled with burning metal and fallen machines. Strange alien ships floated above, their shadows covering the ruined city. The air smelled of fire, dust, and blood. In the middle of the destruction stood one man, the human warrior. His armor was scratched, his helmet gone, and his body covered with cuts. But his eyes were sharp, full of fire, and he refused to fall. He held his weapon tight, the last weapon of his squad. All his brothers in arms were gone. He was the last one left. The ground shook. The alien army moved forward in perfect lines. Their bodies were tall with shining armor, their weapons glowing with deadly light. They looked at the human with strange curiosity, as if wondering how he was still alive. And then, silence again. A sound moved across the battlefield, soft, but heavy, like the voice of thunder behind the clouds. The aliens stopped. They all looked up. From the smoke came a new figure. She was taller than any soldier around her, her presence impossible to ignore. Her body was wrapped in alien armor that glowed with power. Her crown was made of living crystal, shining with a dark light. Her eyes, cold and bright, searched the battlefield until they fell on the human. The soldiers bowed. The air itself felt heavier. She had arrived. She was the alien queen. The human warrior tightened his grip on his weapon. His heart beat fast, but his face showed no fear. He had heard stories of her, the queen who led countless invasions, the ruler who never lost, the destroyer of worlds. She had brought entire planets to their knees. And now she stood before him. The queen walked slowly, every step making the ground tremble. Her soldiers cleared the way. She stopped only a few meters from the human. For a long moment she said, "Nothing." The world seemed to freeze. Only the fire burned, only the smoke moved. Then her lips curved into a strange smile. She spoke, her voice both sharp and soft, like metal cutting silk. "I want him." The alien soldiers looked at each other, in shock. A whisper spread across the ranks, confused and fearful. None of them understood. She had crushed armies before, killed kings and generals, but never once had she said words like these. The human warrior frowned. He did not move, but his eyes narrowed. He had been hunted, beaten, and surrounded. But he had never been spoken to like prey. The queen raised her hand and the whispers stopped at once. The army stood silent, waiting. She took another step closer, her gaze fixed on the man. "You," she said softly, almost like a secret, "the one who does not break, the one who fights even when all hope is lost." Her eyes glowed brighter. "You interest me, human." The warrior's chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. He wanted to strike, to end this nightmare with one last attack. But his body was tired, his strength nearly gone. Still, his spirit was unbroken. He met her gaze without fear. "You are not mine to take," he said in a firm voice, even though his throat was dry. The queen tilted her head, amused. "We will see," she whispered. Behind her, the alien army moved again, slowly surrounding him. The sound of their weapons charging filled the air. The man stood tall, gripping his blade tighter. He was alone. He was outnumbered. But he refused to kneel. The queen looked at her soldiers and lifted her hand once more. "Do not kill him," she commanded. "Bring him to me." The warriors obeyed at once, stepping forward with shields and chains. The human raised his weapon and shouted, a cry of defiance, a sound that echoed through the battlefield. He swung, cut and fought like a storm, his movements wild but full of fury. He dropped alien after alien, refusing to be taken. But the army was endless, and he was only one. His arms grew heavy, his wounds burned, and the ground beneath him was slippery with blood and ash. Still he did not fall. The queen watched, her smile never fading. Her eyes were hungry, shining with strange desire. "Yes," she whispered to herself. He is the one. He will be mine. The human warrior's weapon finally slipped from his hand. His knees touched the broken ground. The soldiers closed in, chains ready. But his spirit did not break. He raised his head, looked at the queen, and his eyes still burned with fire. Queen stepped closer, her shadow covering him. She leaned down, her voice low but clear. I want him. The words cut through the battlefield like thunder. And then silence again. The story had only begun. The battlefield was no longer a place of war. It had become a stage. The fire still burned. Smoke still moved in the air. The alien soldiers stood in silence, waiting for their queen's command. And at the center of it all was the human warrior, chained, bruised, but unbroken. The chains bit into his skin, glowing with alien energy. Each link was alive, pulsing like a heartbeat. He tried to pull against them, but they only tightened, feeding on his strength. The aliens pushed him to his knees, yet his back stayed straight. His eyes did not leave the queen. The alien queen walked slowly around him. Her armor glowed like living fire, shifting and breathing with every step. Her crown of crystal hummed with strange energy, lighting her pale face with shadows. She was both beautiful and terrifying, like a goddess carved from cold stone. Her soldiers bowed low, not daring to look at her directly. But the human warrior did not bow. He did not look away. That made her smile again. You fight like no other, she said softly. Her voice was smooth but heavy like velvet hiding steel. Even when surrounded, even when broken, you refuse to kneel. The warrior's jaw tightened. I fight because I must, not for you. The queen laughed, a strange sound that was both sweet and cruel. Not for me, she repeated. And yet you stand before me still. Tell me, human, do you not wonder why I want you? He did not answer. His silence was sharper than words. The queen stepped closer, her shadow falling over him. She leaned down, her crystal crown almost touching his head. Her eyes, bright as fire, locked onto his. I have destroyed kings, she whispered. I have ended bloodlines, burned empires, and silenced warriors greater than any of your kind. Yet none of them made me say those words. None of them made me pause. She touched his chin lightly with one cold finger, forcing him to meet her gaze. But you are different. The human jerked his head away, breaking her touch. His voice was steady. I am no trophy for your collection. Her smile widened. Oh no, not a trophy, not a slave. Something else. She stood tall again, her cloak flowing like smoke behind her. I do not want you dead, I do not want you broken. I want you because you are the first human who makes me curious. Her soldiers shifted uneasily, their armor clicking. They did not understand their queen's words, and they feared them. For her to desire anything was rare. For her to desire a human, impossible. The queen raised her hand, silencing their whispers. Her eyes returned to the chained warrior. When you fought, I saw something in you. A fire that refuses to die. That fire could serve me. The warrior spat blood to the ground, his voice low but sharp. I will never serve you. For a moment, silence returned. The aliens tensed, expecting their queen to strike him down for such defiance. But she did not. Instead, she laughed again, louder this time, her voice echoing across the battlefield like bells made of glass and thunder. Good, she said, her tone filled with delight. Do you know why I want you? Because you said those words. Because you dare to refuse me. Because you are strong enough to resist even now. Her eyes burned brighter, and her voice dropped into a whisper meant only for him. And because I know in time you will not refuse. The warrior's muscles strained against the chains. His spirit flared brighter, as if her words only fueled his fire. You are wrong, he said. You will never have me. The queen leaned closer, her lips almost touching his ear. We will see. Then she stood tall again, her command voice filling the air. Take him to my throne ship. Guard him well. If he dies, so will you. Her soldiers obeyed instantly, dragging the human to his feet. He stumbled once but did not fall. His eyes stayed on the queen until he was pulled away into the shadows of the alien army. The queen watched him go, her smile still cold and hungry. For the first time in countless wars, she did not feel bored. For the first time, she had found something new. She whispered to herself, almost too quiet to hear. He is mine. But deep inside, a new question burned, not only for her, but for the universe itself. Could a human truly defy a queen who ruled the stars? The answer was not clear. The game had only just begun. The chains rattled as the human warrior was dragged through the alien corridors. The walls were alive, pulsing with strange energy, glowing veins of light that moved like blood inside a living creature. The alien throne ship was not built like human ships. It felt alive, breathing around him, as if the entire structure was watching. 2 guards pushed him forward. Their armor was heavy, their faces hidden under masks that looked like beasts. Each step echoed against the walls. The air was thick, warm, and full of whispers he could not understand. But the warrior's mind was clear. His body was broken, his wounds deep, yet his spirit refused to bend. His eyes still carried the same fire that had burned on the battlefield. Their soldiers shoved him into a great chamber. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into shadows. Strange banners of black silk floated without wind. At the far end sat the alien queen on a throne carved from crystal and bone. Her crown glowed, her eyes brighter than fire. She leaned forward, her gaze sharp. The soldiers forced the warrior to his knees. Chains clinked, heavy against the floor. But the man did not bow. His back stayed straight, his head lifted. Even on his knees, he refused to look weak. His eyes locked on the queen with defiance. The queen smiled, resting her chin on one hand. "Still proud even in chains," she said softly. "I expected nothing less." The warrior's voice was rough but steady. "You can chain my body. You will never chain my will." The soldiers hissed, one raising his weapon as if to strike, but the queen raised her hand, stopping him at once. "Do not touch him," she commanded. Her eyes sparkled as she looked back at the human. "This one speaks like a king, though he is nothing but a soldier." "I am no king," the warrior said. "I am a man, and that is enough to fight you." The chamber fell silent. Even the air seemed to pause. None of her generals, none of her champions had ever spoken to her like this. The queen's smile widened. "Do you think you can resist me forever?" The warrior's eyes burned brighter. "Yes." Her laughter filled the chamber, echoing off the walls like thunder. "Forever is a long time, human. Even stars burn out. Even mountains fall. Do you think your spirit is stronger than time?" "I know it is stronger than you," he said, his words sharp as a blade. The guards stepped back in shock. No one had ever dared speak so to their queen. Some expected her to strike him down instantly, but she did not. Instead, she stood from her throne. The ground trembled with her power. She walked toward him slowly, her cloak dragging like smoke. Each step echoed like a drumbeat in the warrior's chest. When she stood before him, she lowered her head so her eyes met his directly. Her voice dropped, low and sharp. "You defy me even when you know your world burns. Do you not fear for your people?" The warrior's jaw tightened. His voice was steel. "I fear nothing, not you, not death. My people would rather burn free than live as slaves under your hand." The queen studied him for a long moment, her eyes unreadable. Then slowly her smile returned. "Yes," she whispered, "that is why I want you." The warrior pulled against his chains until they glowed bright with heat. His muscles strained, his teeth clenched, his whole body screaming with pain. Yet he forced the words through his breath. "I will never be yours." The queen tilted her head, watching his fury with something close to wonder. "You are the first to say that to me," she said. Her hand brushed lightly against his cheek, though he flinched away. "The first who makes me curious." Then your curiosity will kill you, the warrior said coldly. Her laugh came again, softer this time, almost like music. Perhaps, but until then, you are mine. The warrior's chest rose with heavy breaths. His eyes never wavered. His spirit did not bend. For the first time in ages, the queen felt something strange in her chest, not anger, not boredom, something else she could not name. She turned away sharply, her voice commanding once again. Take him to the dark cells. Let him think in silence, but do not harm him, not a mark. He is mine to break. The guards moved, quickly, dragging him back into the endless corridors of the living ship. His chains clinked with every step, but his eyes still blazed with the same fire. The queen returned to her throne, her smile fading into something unreadable. For the first time in centuries, she did not know if she had power over what she desired. Kuman, human warrior, had not only resisted her, he had shaken her. And in that defiance, a dangerous story had begun. The dark cells of the alien throne ship were carved deep inside the living walls. They pulsed with strange light, veins glowing faintly like the inside of some great beast. The human warrior sat in silence, chains coiled around him like serpents of fire. Each breath felt heavy, but his eyes burned with the same defiance. Hours passed, or maybe days. Time was hard to measure in this place. The ship had no sun, no moon, only the endless glow of alien energy. He waited, his mind sharp, his spirit unbroken. Then the silence broke. The heavy doors of the cell slid open, and alien soldiers entered. Their weapons glowed blue, humming with deadly light. Their armor was alive, crawling with moving symbols. At their front stood a tall general, his face hidden by a mask shaped like a skull. "The Queen commands," the general's voice echoed, deep and metallic. "You will kneel. You will swear loyalty, or you will die." The warrior stood slowly. His chains rattled, but his back stayed straight. His voice was low, sharp as steel. "I will never kneel." The general raised his hand. The soldiers moved forward. The warrior's heart thundered. His hands clenched into fists. The moment the nearest soldier reached him, the human struck. His chains swung like a weapon, smashing into the alien's mask and sending him crashing into the wall. The others roared, weapons raised. But the human moved with fury. He twisted the glowing chains around his arms, turning them into whips of fire. He struck again and again, each blow fueled by rage, by defiance, by the fire that no chains could kill. The chamber filled with chaos. Alien blood sprayed across the walls. Sparks of energy burst as weapons clashed against chains. The human ducked, rolled, and struck, his movements raw but powerful. "Restrain him," the general roared, but the warrior did not stop. Every time, they forced him down. He rose again. His body was broken, but his spirit pushed him beyond pain. He fought not for victory, but for freedom, for defiance, for the right to stand. One alien soldier lunged, stabbing forward. The warrior caught the weapon with his chained arms, twisted, and drove the blade into the soldier's chest. Another came from behind, but the human spun, swinging his chains into the creature's face with a sickening crack. For a moment, silence returned. Alien bodies lay scattered across the chamber. The warrior stood in the center, breathing heavy, blood dripping from wounds old and new. His chains still glowed, smoking from the energy of his rage. But the fight was not over. The general stepped forward. His armor shifted, transforming, plates sliding into new shapes. 4 glowing blades extended from his arms, humming with deadly power. His voice boomed like thunder. "Enough games. You are no more than flesh. I am the Queen's blade. I will end you." The warrior tightened his grip on the chains, his eyes locked on the general. "Then come." The clash was like thunder inside the chamber. The general struck with blinding speed, blades flashing like lightning. The warrior dodged, blocked, countered with chains that wrapped and snapped like living fire. Sparks burst with every hit. The general's strength was greater, his strikes precise, But the human spirit made him faster, sharper. He fought with fury, every move fueled by the refusal to bow. The battle shook the walls. The living ship groaned as if it could feel the violence inside. The alien general roared, his blades carving deep into the ground. The warrior leapt, swung his chains around the general's arm, and pulled with all his strength. The general stumbled. The human lunged, striking his head with a crushing blow. The mask cracked. The alien screamed, falling to his knees. But before the warrior could strike again, the chamber filled with a new sound. Slow, cold applause. The doors opened. The alien queen entered, her cloak flowing like smoke, her crown glowing brighter than ever. She looked at the chaos, the fallen soldiers, the broken general. And then her eyes fell on the human. Her smile was sharp, full of hunger. "Magnificent," she whispered. The human's chest heaved, his body shaking from exhaustion, but his eyes still burned with fire. He raised his chained fists toward her. "Is this what you wanted? To watch me kill your army?" The queen stepped closer, her voice smooth. "No, this is what I wanted, and to see if the fire inside you is real." Her eyes glowed as she studied him. "And now I know." The warrior spat blood, his voice sharp. "I will never serve you." The queen's smile widened. "You mistake me, human. I do not want you to serve. I want you to stand, to fight, to burn brighter than all the others. You are mine, not because you kneel, but because you refuse." The warrior glared at her, his body trembling. "I am not yours." Her laughter filled the chamber, cold and powerful. "Oh, but you are." She raised her hand and energy surged from the walls. The chains around the warrior tightened, pulling him to the ground. His body shook, his strength failing. The last thing he saw before darkness closed in was the queen's smile, bright and cruel. The clash had ended, but the war between them had only just begun. The human warrior woke in silence. His head throbbed, his body burned, and the taste of iron filled his mouth. He lay on a smooth floor of black crystal, the chains still wrapped tight around his arms and legs. Above him, the ceiling glowed with strange symbols that moved like stars caught inside liquid glass. He forced himself to sit. His breath was heavy, but his eyes were sharp. Around him was no dungeon, no cell. It was something else, in a vast chamber, open, tall, filled with strange alien light. The walls pulsed softly, alive like the veins of some great creature. At the far end, the alien queen sat on her throne. She was waiting. Her crown glowed brighter than before, crystals humming with energy. Her cloak flowed around her as if moved by unseen winds. She watched him rise, and her lips curved into a quiet smile. "You are awake," she said softly, her voice echoing through the chamber. "Good. I did not bring you here to die." The warrior's jaw tightened. His voice was rough but strong. "Then why bring me at all?" The queen leaned forward, her eyes glowing. "Because you must understand. You are not like the others I have conquered. You are something else." "I am just a man," he said firmly. Her laughter was soft, but it shook the chamber. "No, not just a man. I have seen kings weep before me. I have seen generals beg. I have seen entire species bend to my will. But you," her eyes narrowed, "you fight even when you cannot win. You defy me even in chains. That is why I want you." The warrior glared at her. "You want me as a slave." Her smile faded into something sharper. "No, not a slave, a weapon, a partner, perhaps even more." The human's eyes hardened. "I will never be any of those." The queen rose from her throne, her armor glowing with every step. She walked toward him slowly, her presence heavy like a storm approaching. "Do you know why your kind has survived this long?" she asked. "Do you know why humans rise even after worlds fall?" The warrior said nothing. "Because of your fire," she whispered. "The fire that refuses to die. The fire I saw in you on the battlefield. I have searched across galaxies and I have never seen it burn so brightly. She circled him, studying him like a predator studies prey. You are rare, human. You are the kind of strength that can change empires. He raised his head, his eyes meeting hers with defiance. And that is why I fight against you. Her smile returned, cold and sharp. Yes, that is why I need you. The chamber fell silent. Only the pulsing of the walls filled the air, like a heartbeat. Finally, the warrior broke the silence. What do you want from me? The queen stopped in front of him. Her eyes locked onto his. Her voice was low, like a secret. I want you to stand at my side, to fight with me, not against me, to become more than a man, more than a soldier, to become mine. The warrior's breath slowed. He shook his head. I will never stand with you. You burn worlds. You crush freedom. You are death itself. Her face did not change, but her eyes glowed brighter. And yet you cannot deny it. You feel it. The pull. The power between us. I feel nothing, he said, though his voice wavered just slightly. The queen leaned closer, her cold breath brushing his ear. You will, she whispered. The warrior clenched his fists, pulling against the chains until they glowed with heat. His voice came out like steel. If you want me, you will have to break me, and that will never happen. The queen studied him in silence, her expression unreadable. Then she laughed softly. We shall see. She stepped back, her voice commanding again. You will remain here under my watch. You will see my world, my power, my empire. And then you will choose. I already have, he growled. Her smile widened. No, not yet, not truly, but you will. She turned away, her cloak flowing like smoke. The guards stepped from the shadows, their weapons glowing, but the queen raised her hand. Do not harm him, not a scratch, he is mine. The warrior stood tall, his chains rattling as he stared after her. His body was weak, but his spirit burned stronger than ever. He knew what she wanted now. He knew why she said those words. But he also knew one truth, carved into his heart like fire and stone. He would never be hers. The queen disappeared into the shadows of her throne. Her voice echoed behind her, low and cold. Time will tell, human. Time will tell. And in the silence that followed, the human warrior closed his eyes, not in surrender, but in defiance. The game between them had entered a new stage. The human warrior stood in silence, chains biting into his skin. He had refused the alien queen's words again and again, yet she showed no anger. Instead, she watched him with those glowing eyes like a hunter studying a beast that would not kneel. Days passed, or perhaps weeks. Time blurred inside her throne ship, where the walls pulsed like a living heart and the air carried whispers in alien tongues. The warrior did not rest easily. He was fed but never trusted. He was watched at all times. Guards stood near him, yet none dared come too close. They feared him, even in chains. Then came the day she summoned him again. The doors to her great hall opened and he was led inside by a dozen guards. The chamber glowed brighter than before. Strange banners hung high, alive with alien light. At the far end, the queen sat on her throne, her crystal crown shining like a star. Bring him forward, she commanded. The warrior was pushed before her. He stood tall, refusing to bow. His eyes burned with the same defiance, though his body carried many wounds. The queen rose. Her voice filled the hall, soft but heavy with power. You have refused me again and again. You think yourself free, but today you will face truth. She raised her hand. A great image appeared in the air between them, a vision made of light and smoke. The warrior's eyes widened. It was Earth, his home, his people, the blue oceans, the green lands, the cities full of life. But the image shifted. Alien ships surrounded the planet. Flames spread across the land. Buildings fell. The sky turned black with smoke. The warrior's chest tightened. His voice cut through the silence. Stop this. The queen's smile was sharp. I have not done this. Not yet. This is what will come. This is the fate of your world if you continue to resist. The image flickered again, showing Earth at peace, untouched, alive. And this, she whispered, is what your people may have, if you stand with me. The warrior's fists clenched, the chains rattling. His voice was rough. You dare to threaten my world. I do more than dare, she said, I promise. You are strong, human, but even your strength cannot save them alone. With me, your people will live. Without me, they will burn. The hall fell silent. The warrior's heart pounded like thunder. Finally, he spoke, his voice like stone. So, this is your game. You want me not for myself, but as a weapon. You want me to betray my own to serve you. Her eyes gleamed. No, I want you to rise above them, to lead them into my empire. They will live, and you will stand as my chosen. Think, human. Your people safe, your world untouched. All you must do is say yes. The warrior shook his head. You want me to trade freedom for chains, to give you my soul in exchange for mercy, but freedom is worth more than life itself. The queen's smile did not fade. And if your freedom costs the lives of every man, woman, and child on your world, will you still refuse? The warrior's breath caught. He saw the image again, Earth burning. He heard screams in his mind, though they were not real. His hands shook, but his eyes stayed fixed on hers. You think you can break me with fear, he said. But you are wrong. I do not fight only for my people. I fight for the right to choose. I fight so no one, not even you, decides our fate. The queen's laughter echoed, cold and sharp. Such words, such fire. But fire alone cannot save them. She leaned closer, her eyes like twin stars. So tell me, human, will you stand with me, or will you watch your world die? The chamber grew colder, as if the walls themselves held their breath. Guards shifted uneasily, waiting for his answer. The warrior raised his head, his voice steady despite the storm inside him. If my people must fall, they will fall free, not as your slaves. The queen's smile faded, her eyes narrowing. For the first time, there was no laughter in her voice, only ice. Then you choose death, for yourself and for your world. The warrior's jaw tightened, but his spirit did not bend. Better to die free than to live in chains. Silence followed, heavy as stone. Then the queen straightened, her voice cold as the void. So be it. But know this, human, I will not kill you, not yet. You will watch. You will see what happens when defiance stands against destiny. She turned away, her cloak flowing like smoke. Take him back to the dark cells. Let him dream of his burning world. The guards moved in, dragging him away. But even as chains pulled at his body, his voice rang out across the hall, sharp and unbroken. You will never own me. The queen did not turn, but her lips curved into the faintest smile. Time will tell, she whispered. The choice had been made. The turning point had come. And the game between them grew darker still. The chains clinked as the human warrior was dragged back through the endless corridors of the alien throne ship. His body was heavy with pain, but his spirit burned brighter than ever. He had seen the queen's vision of Earth, had heard her offer, and had refused. He had chosen defiance, even if it meant death for himself and his people. The guard shoved him into the dark cells once again. The door sealed shut with a hiss, and silence fell. He sat against the living wall, the faint glow of alien veins, painting his face in strange light. His chest rose and fell slowly, but his eyes never lost their fire. He replayed her words in his mind. Stand with me, or watch your world die. Anger flared in him, sharp and hot. He knew her kind. Tyrants always believed fear could break the human spirit, but she was wrong. He would not kneel, not now, not ever. Hours passed, or maybe only minutes. Time was a broken thing inside the queen's ship. Then the silence cracked. The door opened again and the queen herself stepped inside. Alone, no guards. She moved like a shadow of light, her crown glowing softly, her eyes sharper than blades. She looked at him as one might look at a storm, dangerous, beautiful, untamed. "You are bold," she said softly, her voice smooth as silk but cold as ice. "Few dare to speak to me as you do. None have ever refused me for this long." The warrior lifted his head, chains rattling. His voice was firm. "Then I will be the first and the last." Her lips curved into a smile, but her eyes were unreadable. "Your defiance excites me, but do not mistake excitement for mercy. My patience is not endless." She came closer, kneeling before him, her eyes level with his. "Tell me, human, are you not afraid? Afraid for your people? Afraid for yourself?" The warrior's breath was steady. "Fear is not my master. Not anymore." For a long moment, neither moved. The queen studied him, her gaze deep, searching. At last she whispered, "You are dangerous. Dangerous to me, dangerous to everything I have built." "Then kill me," he said, his voice sharp, but her smile returned. "No. Killing you would end the fire. I do not want it to end. I want to see how bright it can burn." The silence that followed was heavy. The warrior's heart beat hard in his chest. He realized then that this was more than a battle of chains and blades. This was a battle of wills, and neither of them would break. The queen stood again, her voice stronger. "You will come with me tomorrow. You will stand beside me when I speak to my armies. They will see you, the human who defied me. They will see you unbroken, and they will fear what I can do, even to one such as you." The warrior rose slowly, the chains glowing as he pulled against them. His body shook with effort, but his voice cut through the air like thunder. "I will not be your symbol. I will not be your pet." The queen tilted her head, her smile sharper now. "No, you will not. You will be something greater. You will be the storm I unleash or the fire I consume." Her cloak swirled as she turned toward the door, but before leaving she paused. Her voice was soft, almost like a secret. "One day, human, you will stand at my side. Not as a slave, not as a trophy, but as mine. Remember my words. I want you, and what I want, I always take." The door closed behind her, leaving only silence. The warrior stood in the dark, chains burning against his skin. His breath was heavy, but his eyes glowed with the fire of defiance. Slowly he whispered to the empty cell, "If you want me, then you will have to fight for me." The walls seemed to shiver with his words. The ship itself seemed to listen. In that moment a storm was born, not of metal or fire, but of will. A storm that would one day shake the stars themselves. The queen believed she had found her chosen. The warrior knew he had found his enemy. Two paths now stood before them: desire and defiance, hunger and freedom, conquest and resistance. And the universe would tremble when those paths finally collided. For now the chains held. For now the queen smiled in the shadows. For now the warrior stood alone. But both knew the truth. This was not the end. This was only the beginning.